offender was scheduled to be deported, Tim Walz, the governor, issued him a pardon, setting him free to once again endanger the children of America.
Walz pardoned a foreign criminal right before deportation. Then Rubio revoked his legal status, and now he's being removed from the United States of America.
Just weeks ago, a convicted offender and a foreign national was shielded from deportation by the governor of Minnesota. Laotian national Tu Li Vang was convicted of repeatedly 10-year-old girl in the state of Minnesota. He even tried to pay his victim for her silence, and he called his heinous crimes a minor thing. Just days before this foreign offender was scheduled to be deported, Tim Walz, the governor, issued him a pardon, setting him free to once again endanger the children of America. Well, this week I revoked his legal status in the United States, and as a result, federal agents took him into custody, and as of today, he has been removed from the United States. Because of our action, this foreign criminal will never pose a threat to any American, ever again. Americans must never be forced by their elected leaders to live alongside foreign criminals who have no right to begin with to reside in our country. This administration will always stand with the American people and defend them.
I can understand small instances of this person here has had a really hard life here. Sending them back to their country specifically would be absolutely detrimental to their existence here. I can understand super small portions of that here. And I mean like 10%, I get it, all right? It's only 10% of that. They still got to go, but 10, I get it, at least. But when you then put all of your governmental might specifically into helping someone like that, I think the other 10% that I once cared about starts to kind of go away pretty fast here. Like, it is evacuating the room, my guys, right? Saying that this person that did these things are the same as the other people who you are trying to protect. They are starving. They cannot take care of their families, right? They cannot find work in their countries. And then putting this person under the same exact umbrella while protecting him equally, it makes all of the other protections moderately irrelevant.
Governor Walz again. A major focus of today's hearing has been the misuse of federal funds distributed through the Child Care and Development Block Grant. This program is supposed to be helping working families afford child care, and I think the taxpayers expect these programs to be protected from waste and fraud. Most states operate these programs responsibly. The national improper payment average is about 4%. As you know, I kind of watch what's going on in Minnesota because it's a state adjacent to Wisconsin. And it's amazing, if you're a congressman, the number of people who get Minnesota and Wisconsin confused. But when that number climbs above the national average of 4%, it should be a warning sign that oversight has failed. Minnesota's improper payment rate got up to 11%. It's not a small administrative mistake, over almost 3 times the national average. That is a system that's clearly not being monitored the way it should be. When Wisconsin had a similar program several years ago, when I was in the state legislature, in 2010, we uncovered fraud in our child care assistance program. Wisconsin did not look away. We took responsibility, implemented serious reforms, and those reforms included expanding background checks for providers, creating a dedicated fraud investigation unit, strengthening eligibility requirements, and instituting a comprehensive audit system. That would have been when Scott Walker was governor. Because of these reforms, Wisconsin now has an improper payment of under 1%. So in other words, we almost totally wiped out the problem. Didn't happen by accident. It happened because Governor Walker took responsibility and acted quickly. He thought fraud was a problem. Governor Walz, Minnesota had similar warning signs. Investigators, auditors, even internal officials kept raising concerns about fraud in social service systems. And it didn't just cost taxpayers money. These programs are meant to help children and working families. When fraud drains millions of these dollars from these programs, that money is not reaching the people it was intended to serve. First of all, Governor Walz, when did your administration first become aware that fraud risks were escalating in Minnesota's child care assistance program? You were kind of an outlier in the whole country.
Well, thank you, Congressman. This dates back to about 2012 that the action has been being taken. And as I stated earlier, on our first days in office, we started taking action. I would ask, if I could, on this, anything that Governor Walker did, I would appreciate if you would show us what those actions were. we're more than happy to implement them, and that's what we've started over the last 7 years.
Reports indicate that some providers continued receiving payments even after the fraud concerns were raised. Was that a decision made by your administration, and who specifically you feel did not?
I can't speak specifically to which those were. Decisions are made at the department level, but I can't speak to what those allegations were.
So guys, when it comes down to Tim Walz kind of almost always makes me feel like he just so happened to walk into the room and they gave him the job here. If you realize or recognize that something similar is happening to a very close state to you, maybe you should have the wherewithal to start looking into why exactly that's happening. Instead of waiting until you're being called in front of a hearing to ask, hey, listen, if this has happened over there, right, maybe you can help me figure out what's going on here. Listen, bro, you've had the signs for many years here. I mean, I get it here. You have been strengthening the idea of what fraud means here, meaning making it easier for fraud to be proven, if that makes any sense here. Apparently in Minnesota, before Tim Walz did that, it was basically a free-for-all. If it was a government program, you can basically take from it and pilfer from it without any repercussions here. Would look like, at least here, because the measure to define fraud specifically in that region was too high. Good, he lowered it. Amazing here. But we need to do more here. And that is all on the shoulders of Tim Walz here. But let's get into the most important aspect of the argument here. So Tim Walz here, governor of Minnesota, mismanaging Minnesota in a way that is absolutely abysmal, while seeing your neighboring state kind of going through something similar, then immediately fixing it, you not doing that there, all right? While then telling the people that, no, we're not allowing them to do it for the sole purpose of garnering votes in the next election for our party here. We're not trying to do that here. But please trust us, we're just and true, right? While then in the same breath saying, but this guy here is about to be deported from the United States of America, and he has all of these absolutely heinous and egregious crimes attached to him. Let's go ahead and pardon him of his crimes. So if that's the reason why he's being deported, he can no longer be deported. Bro, how did you think this was going to turn out here? You're not touching the hearts and minds here. You're only touching the hearts and minds specifically of people who already agree with you. You gave the other side of the table a talking point you're not going to be able to back down from. If your name is on a pardon of a foreign criminal that liked the young ones, this is nothing more than virtue signaling at the most disgusting level. Guys, without a doubt, the sickest story of the entire day is this one. You don't pardon the young one lovers, guys. All right, you don't do that. You don't pardon them. They're pariahs. And the fact is here, if they are foreign young one lovers, that makes it probably even worse. They're American. Send them to jail. If they are foreign criminals that like the young ones, that have been caught trying to pay off the young ones, come on, bro. This is the hill you decided to basically die on, if that makes any sense here. This is the one. We're going to move on to the next one. Listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. In the meantime, guys, I'll go ahead and catch you guys later.